In 1984, there was a woman on the block who sold candy out her front window. No sign, no register, just a sheet of notebook paper taped to the screen. A deep freezer full of frozen cups right behind her. Every kid in a 4-block radius knew her by name. Every kid knew exactly how far a quarter went. She was not running a business. She was running a corner of the neighborhood. Then, one summer, the window stayed shut. Nobody announced it. The paper came down, the freezer went quiet, and a whole little economy that ran on dimes and trust went quiet with it. Most kids today have never bought a thing from a neighbor in their life. They never will. That window closed, and something we never had a name for closed with it. This was never just nostalgia. It was a way of holding a neighborhood together. Not with money. Most of us did not have it. With people. There was a grown person watching from every porch. A store that knew your whole family. A church that ran underneath the whole week. The block was one living thing. It looked like fun, and it was. But underneath the fun was a village doing the most serious work there is. We did not lose it in one event. We lost it one closed window, one moving van, one past elder at a time. And we have been quietly poorer for it ever since. Number 15 is a sound. One sound. The second I describe it, you will be 8 years old again. Number 9 is a thing every corner store did that sounds impossible now. They let your family owe money, written on a scrap of paper. No contract, no card. And number 3 closed the whole street down and turned strangers' kids into your cousins. Almost no neighborhood does it anymore. We did it every summer and never knew it was rare. These 20 things were never just stuff a neighborhood had. They were how a neighborhood kept its people. How a block decided, without ever calling a meeting, that every child on it belonged to all of it. Most of it is gone now. But it is not gone from us. Hit that subscribe button. Let's count down 20 things that quietly disappeared from black neighborhoods after the 1980s. Number 20. The clothes line in the backyard. Every yard had 2 poles and a line strung between them. Wash went out in the morning and dried in the sun. You ran through the hanging sheets when nobody was looking. The whole yard smelled like soap and wind. Your mother could spot her neighbor's wash by sight. That line was more than saving on a dryer. It put women in their backyards all day, within speaking distance. Half an eye on every child in every yard. Hanging the wash was standard in working-class neighborhoods well into the 1980s. The back fences were a kind of daily town meeting. It was not just laundry. It was a row of mothers watching the whole block dry. Number 19. The door-to-door men. They came up the walk with a case and a payment book. The insurance man came once a week and collected $1. The encyclopedia man sold your future in matching covers. You paid a little at a time for a year and never missed. Those men were not strangers. They were part of how a family without a bank built something on trust. Weekly door collection, including insurance, books, and brushes, was a fixture of the era. It ran on a handshake and a kept book. It was not just a salesman, it was a family buying tomorrow $1 at a time. Number 18. Layaway at the store. Christmas did not come on a credit card. It came in payments. Your mother picked the coat in October and left it at the store. She paid a few dollars a week, your name on the tag. By December, the last payment was made. You saw the gift. You never saw the months she carried it on a tight budget. Layaway was the backbone of a working-class Christmas before easy credit spread. It ran on discipline and trust. It was not a coat. It was 3 months of a mother's promise. Number 17. The glass bottle return. Every empty bottle was worth real money to a kid. You collected them from the alley, the lot, the gutter. You hauled them to the store in a wagon or a paper sack. The man counted them and paid you in coins. That deposit was a child's first paycheck. It taught you a thing had worth, and so did your work. The deposit and return system was everywhere before it faded out. It turned every kid into a small businessman. It was not just bottles. It was a child learning a nickel came from somewhere. Number 16, the record shop. You bought music from a man who knew exactly what you liked. You flipped through the bins for an hour. The man behind the counter dropped the needle so you could hear it first. You walked out with one record you saved 2 weeks for. That shop was not just sales. It was where a neighborhood found its sound, hand to hand, week to week. The local record store was a community hub in black neighborhoods. It was where the music lived before it lived on a screen. It was not just a record. It was a man who knew your taste better than you did. Number 15, the ice cream truck. Here is the sound. The second you hear it, you are 8 again. That tinny song drifted in from a block away. Every kid froze, bolted inside, then bolted back with whatever change they found. You stood at the curb with coins sweating in your fist. What it really sold was a whole block of kids running the same direction at once. The ice cream truck was a summer institution for generations. Its jingle is one of the most remembered sounds of childhood. That song was not an ad. It was the whole block running toward summer. Pattern break, emotional monologue. Here is what nobody warns you about. A neighborhood does not announce that it is leaving. It goes one window, one closed store, one past elder at a time. So slow you do not notice, until you drive back through one day and there is no one left who knew you as a child. The candy lady is gone. The record shop is a check-cashing place now. The porch where the old woman watched is empty. We did not lose all of it at once. We lost it in 1,000 quiet ones, while we grew up and moved away for the better neighborhood. And a child stopped belonging to a whole block of people who would die before letting anything happen to him. We cannot drive back into it, but we can remember it out loud so the kids coming up know it was real. Number 14, the fish fry on Friday. Somebody was always frying and the whole block could smell it. A folding table went up. Plates went out a side door or a window. The money went to the church, the team, or a family that came up short. That fry was not just food. It was how a neighborhood quietly took care of its own. The Friday fish fry was a fundraising and social cornerstone, often rooted in the church. It fed people and funded the community at once. It was not just dinner. It was a neighborhood passing a plate and a hand at the same time. Number 13, the hat ladies. Sunday morning, the whole block dressed and walked toward the church. The women wore hats you remembered for life. The men wore their one good suit. Whole families moved down the sidewalk at the same hour, nodding, greeting, unhurried. That walk was not just getting to church. It was a neighborhood showing up for itself in its best. The hat and gloves Sunday tradition ran deep in the black church. It was a weekly act of dignity worn out loud. It was not just a hat. It was a woman telling the whole block she was somebody. Number 12, the house party in the basement. A finished basement, a colored light, and a record player. Somebody moved the furniture against the wall. Somebody's older cousin worked the music. Grown folks and teenagers filled a low room and danced close until late. That basement was safe ground, a place to have a good time, watched over without being watched. The house party was central to social life when other doors stayed closed to black folks. The basement did the work the world would not. It was not just a party, it was joy, a family kept safe in its own house. Number 11. Saturday at the beauty shop. You went in the morning and you were there half the day. You waited your turn for hours. The grown women talked about everything. A child sat still, listened, and learned the whole neighborhood's business. That shop was not just hair, it was a women's town hall where news and care and counsel all changed hands. The Black Beauty Shop was a cornerstone institution, often black-owned and run for decades. It was business and gathering place at once. It was not just a hairdo, it was half a day inside the heartbeat of the neighborhood. Number 10. The Candy Lady's Window. A woman on nearly every block sold candy out her front window. No sign, no register, just notebook paper taped to the screen and a freezer full of frozen cups. You waited your turn and said please and thank you. That window was small business, child care, and neighborhood watch all in one. She watched the block off dimes and trust. The Candy Lady was a real and widespread fixture of black urban life. She ran a corner economy where stores were far or unfriendly. It was never just candy, it was a neighbor who knew what your quarter was worth. Pattern break, modern comparison. In 1985, your mother sent you to the corner store with a folded dollar. You walked. You said hello to the man who knew your name. You waited your turn behind a neighbor. You counted the change and carried it home. 5 small human exchanges for a loaf of bread. Today, that same errand is a tap on a screen. A stranger leaves a bag on the porch. Nobody says a word to anybody. We call that convenience. But look at what got cut. The walk, the man, the name, the waiting, the change counted by hand. We did not just change how a family gets bread, we removed every single person a child used to meet on the way to getting it. And then we wondered why kids feel so alone. Number 9. The corner store that knew your name. Here is the one that sounds impossible now. The man behind the counter knew your mother and your grandmother. When money was short, he let your family run a tab. He wrote it on a pad behind the register. You paid it down on payday, every time. That credit was not a risk to him. It was a neighbor trusting a neighbor because he knew who you were. The neighborhood store extending informal credit was common where banks would not serve people. Trust did the work a card does now. It was not just a store. It was a man who fed your family on his word and yours. Number 8. The rec center with the open door. The gym was unlocked and there was always somewhere to go. You walked there after school. A court, somebody running things, a crew you saw every day. It held the hours before a parent got home. That open door was a real safety net. It caught the after-school stretch that could have gone any direction. The rec center was vital in black communities, often the one free, safe space for miles. Adults there watched over you. It was not just a gym, it was a door that stayed open when a kid had nowhere else to go. Number 7. The barbershop town hall. You went for a cut, and you got the whole world. Men waited an hour for a chair. The talk ran from sports to scripture to politics, loud and overlapping. A boy sat and listened and learned how grown men carried themselves. That chair was not just a haircut. It was where a boy got raised by a room full of men. The Black Barber Shop has been a community institution for over a century. It was forum, classroom, and gathering place in one. It was not just a cut. It was a boy learning to be a man, in a room full of them. Number 6, the neighbor who could correct you. Any grown person on the block had standing over any child. If a neighbor caught you wrong, she corrected you on the spot. Then she told your mother before you got home. You answered to every adult, kin or not. That shared authority was not meanness. It was a whole block agreeing to keep every child alive and right. This collective discipline came up through generations who knew the stakes. The world was stricter, so they had to be. It was not just a fussing, it was 100 adults agreeing you belonged to all of them. Number 5, church that ran all day. Sunday service had no end time, and you settled in for the long haul. The choir, the sermon that built and built, the part where somebody caught the spirit. You sat in your Sunday best, watched by a grandmother 3 pews away. That long Sunday was the center the week turned around. It was support system, meeting hall, and a place to be somebody. The black church was the institutional heart of the community. The long service was a cornerstone of family life. It was not just church. It was where the whole community stood up and was somebody. Pattern break. Research reveal. Researchers who study childhood keep reaching the same uncomfortable conclusion. What made kids steady was not enrichment programs or screens or scheduled activities. It was unstructured play, a dense web of trusted adults, and the freedom to roam. In other words, the open recreation center, the block full of watching grandmothers, the neighbor who could correct you, the walk to the store alone. The finding modern science keeps reaching is the one our grandmothers reached without a study. A child raised by a whole neighborhood grows up steadier than one raised by a schedule. They were not behind the times. They were ahead of the research. Number 4, the front porch lookout. Every porch had somebody on it, watching the whole street. The old woman on the corner sat from morning to dark. She knew every car, every child, everything out of place. Nothing happened on that block she did not clock. That porch was not just sitting. It was a quiet, all-day watch that let mothers work in peace. The watchful front porch came north in the Great Migration, carried from small southern towns. It held as long as the blocks held. It was not just a porch. It was the neighborhood's eyes, open all day for free meal. Number 3, the block party that closed the street, the one that turned strangers' kids into your cousins. Somebody got the street blocked off. A grill went up every few houses. Music ran from a speaker set in a window. Kids you half knew became family by the end of the night. What it gave you was 100 relationships no adult arranged. The whole block became one household for a day. The block party was a defining summer event, where a street turned into a single family. It is one of the things most lost now. It was not just a party. It was a street remembering. It was one people. Number 2, a plate at every house. You could knock on any door at dinner time and get fed. It did not matter whose child you were. A plate appeared. You sat down. You ate like kin, because for that hour you were. That plate was the deepest rule the neighborhood had. There is always room, and there is always enough. Feeding any child who showed up was a quiet, near-universal practice. The pot was always made big enough on purpose. It was not just supper. It was a whole block deciding no child of theirs went hungry. Number 1, you knew everybody. That is it. The simplest one on the list, and the one we miss most. You knew every house on the block and every person inside it. They knew you, your mother, and your grandmother by name. There was not a stranger on the whole street. You could not get away with a thing, and nothing could happen to you. We did not know it was rare. We thought every neighborhood was like that. It was the whole gift, and we were standing right inside it. That web of knowing rested on people who stayed, watched, and claimed each other for decades. It disappeared first. It was not just knowing your neighbors. It was belonging to a place that knew you back. None of this needed money. That is the part worth sitting with. We were not rich. A lot of us were the opposite of rich, but we were not poor in the ways that actually break a child. We had a block full of people who claimed us, a store that fed us on trust, a porch that watched us for free, a childhood that belonged to the whole neighborhood instead of to a calendar. The grown folks who built that world did it on tired feet and thin wallets. They made it look like nothing, like it just happened, like summer just came. It did not just happen. They held it together with their bare hands every single day. The windows closed and the stores changed hands, and a lot of those porches are empty now. But the thing they did for us is not complicated, and it is not lost forever. It is just waiting for somebody to remember it out loud and start handing it back. We were loved by a whole neighborhood. Not all kids get that. We did.